What's up? How's it going? Welcome to Days Watch channel, and for this video I'm going to be talking about the Rolex Daytona and the IWC Portuguese, right? Two iconic, stunning chronographs and, just timeless design. And I'm just going to give you my opinions on both these watches and as well as comparison between both these brands, right? Well, first off, these are chronographs, so they are, stopwatches as well. And it's really no comparison, right? The Daytona is I don't want to use the word better, but it's a better made watch, all right? And where this is most apparent is in its pushes, right? Let's start with the IWC. I'm gonna start the chronograph. Listen to it. So that was starting it. I'm gonna stop it. I'm gonna reset. There we go. And this is the Daytona. Starting it, stopping it, reset. So I guess you can only hear it in the video, but in terms of feel, the IWC just feels it just feels very rough, right? It's a bit coarse compared to the Daytona, right? If you've ever started one of these watches, I mean, side by side, it's just night and day, right? It's very hard to explain, but the IWC just feels a lot more, it just doesn't feel as sensitive, and as the tolerances for the Daytona are a lot lesser than the IWC. Let's put it that way, right? It just feels so much better. And obviously the Daytona has in-house movement, and this is probably the biggest knock on IWC as a brand is that, IWC along with Breitling are probably the two companies most guilty for, just using ETA stock movements and decorating them and just putting them into a case and charging a lot of money for these watches, to be quite honest, right? Yes, they are decorated, but at the end of the day, they are stock ETA Salida movements, and nothing wrong with that, right? But it's expensive for what they are. An argument can be made that, IWC is owned by Swatch and ETA is owned by Swatch, and therefore, they are technically using an ETA movement, but then, I don't buy that. It's a business, right? They're just generating they want to generate a profit, and it just makes good business sense to put in a modified value movement, make it look pretty, and mark it up and turn a profit, right? So that's really the biggest knock on IWC and the brand itself. In terms of the design, it's fantastic. It's just so simple. It's classy. It's highly legible, right? The dial is beautiful, right? There's depth to it. On the outer ring, it's a beautiful design. On the surface, it looks really good. However, the knock on the IWC Portuguese would have to be its movement and how the pushes feel, right? I mean, everything is relative, right? However, relative to the Daytona, the pushes just don't feel that great, right? So, it's the movement, right? That's what gave the meteoric, one of the reasons why Rolex just shot up in value, right? Because back then in 2012, when I started collecting, the IWC Portuguese, they were an expensive watch, and they were probably trading at around the same price as a Rolex Submariner or a Rolex GMT. However, fast forward to today, those watches have tripled in price on the secondary market, whereas the IWC Portuguese has pretty much flatlined, right? It's stagnated. It's still the same price as it was 7, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And You know, if you bought one of these at full retail, wow, I think back then it would have cost $8,000. You could have got 2 Rolex Submariners, you know, no date subs, complete with boxes, papers, everything. And yeah, you know, I guess it was a really, you know, I guess it's hard to say right now. We have hindsight, but you know, back then, I guess people didn't really they didn't realize how big Rolex was going to get. And you know, a lot of collectors, they like to start, you know, they always feel like they want to be a little different. They want to venture out of Rolex, and they do so. They buy watches like these, but then at the end of the day, they always come back to Rolex, right? As did I. You know, I tried to go a different route, but you know, I was fortunate enough. I mean, I was curious enough to wonder why Rolex was so great and, you know, so desired. So you know, I picked one up fairly early in my collecting days. I picked up Rolex Explorer 2 Polar Dial. That was my first ever Rolex, and after that, after I picked up that watch, then I realized why you know, Rolex was such a coveted watch, you know, watch brand. And I think a lot of people also realized after they ventured off to brands like IWC, Zenith, Glasuta Original, Breitling, Omega, you know, brands like those, right? Even Breguet. Bought those watches and realized, hey, you know, all they really needed was a good Rolex. And you know, that's one of the reasons why I feel that Rolex just shot up in popularity over the last 4 or 5 years, because I guess everyone, you know, just came back to the brand, right? They thought they were too good for Rolex, and then they realized, damn, Rolex really makes a great watch. And you know, you can kind of see why when I hold these two side by side. And don't get me wrong, the IWC is a great watch. As a matter of fact, you know, they make a great value proposition, right? These can be had for about $4,000 US, and to be honest, they make great buying. However, for these, for the Daytona right now, you know, you're talking about almost $20,000 US, right? So that's 5 times, at least 4.5 times, right? A price difference. This one can be up to be $20,000 US. This for $4,000 US. No, I shouldn't say. Maybe you could find it under 20,000. Okay, but it's a huge price difference, right? So if you don't really care for the movement, and if you really like the design of the IWC Portuguese, save yourself some money, save yourself the headache of going for the Daytona, right? If you just like the look of it, you're looking for a dressy chronograph, the IWC Portuguese is definitely a great buy, right? I'd say it's probably the dressiest chronograph out there in the market. I can't really think of any other dress chronograph, right? This one is really, really beautiful, really unique in that sense. It's very, very hard to strike that balance between dress and sports watch, and I think the IWC Portuguese really nailed it, right? There's something that you're looking for, right? You want a dressy sports watch, and this one is perfect. Right? I've tried to put the Daytona on a leather strap, and it just doesn't look right. I just, you know, it just didn't feel right. It couldn't pull off a leather strap. The Daytona looks best on the bracelet, and therefore, in terms, if you're looking for a dressier piece, I think the Portuguese is much better suited for that occasion. All right, so anyway, thanks for watching. Man, I start to ramble on these videos. If you made it all the way here, I really appreciate it. I hope this video was informative. Okay, thanks for watching. I'm out. Bye.